Welcome back to Spotlight, where we highlight the University of Central Arkansas's College of Fine Arts and Communication. I'm Donna Lampkin-Stevens. Our biennial fundraiser, Bravo, is scheduled for March 21st when we will welcome the piano puzzler Bruce Adolph to campus for a gala dinner. We'll talk to Dr. Gail Seymour, Associate Dean of the College of Fine Arts and Communication, and Dr. Stephen Feldman, Associate Professor of Cello, about this upcoming visit, which is very exciting. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Bruce Adolph. You probably know me as the piano puzzler on public radio, but I'll be here in Conway for a big fundraiser on March 21st. Bravo, it's called. Fundraiser for the students of the College of Fine Arts and Communications. There'll be cocktail party, dinner right here on the stage of Reynolds, live piano puzzlers, and much more. I hope to see you there.
Joining me now are Dr. Gail Seymour, Associate Dean of the College of Fine Arts and Communication, and Dr. Stephen Feldman, Associate Professor of Cello. So welcome back to Spotlight.
Thank you.
Gail, first let's start with what is Bravo? I mean, we talk about it, but where did it come from and what is it?
Well, Bravo is a fundraising event that happens every 2 years, and it's designed to really help students in our college get off campus, basically, to go to conferences, go to workshops, clinics, auditions, museums, so that they really have some travel funds. And you know, it's hard to come up with that kind of extra money.
Yeah, we had never done anything like that before.
Yeah, so I think when all this happened, it must have been way back in 2011 when Dr. Potter, our former dean, and I were just kind of brainstorming, well, what could we do? And I think Dr. Potter actually came up with the word Bravo, and actually came up with this idea to have really a kind of spectacular party, maybe include some of our artists in residence who might agree to be sort of the guest star, and that's when it happened. So our very first Bravo was in 2012, and we welcomed the travel writer Rick Steves, and we had a really fantastic event.
Now, I can't remember, was he already scheduled before?
Yes.
He was scheduled to come as an artist in residence.
That's right.
And so then we negotiated him to stay a little extra for this evening.
That's right. And what's been remarkable so far is that both Rick Steves and Bruce Adolph, who's coming this year, agreed to do the Bravo event for free.
Oh, really?
So that really helped us out so much, and really meant that all of the money that we raised, we could give directly to students.
More money for
That's
the
right.
So tell us exactly what the evening is. It starts with a cocktail party.
Starts with a cocktail party at 5:30, and it's, you know, an elegant cocktail party, but it's also an opportunity for the public to really get some kind of one-to-one time with the guest star. So in 2012, you know, we were at Madeline and Jerry Adams' house, and this year in 2014, we're going to be at Dr. Brad and Suzanne Bannister's house. So I think everyone's going to really enjoy coming to their house and getting sort of an up-close chance to see Bruce Adolph.
And one ticket admits you to the cocktail party as well as dinner, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So then the cocktail party concludes about 6:30 or so, and then guests drive over to Reynolds Performance Hall, and we actually have a catered meal on the stage at Reynolds. So that's a rare opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most people, you've been on the
Right, Steve.
stage.
I have. I haven't eaten there very often.
But you haven't eaten there very often. And so, you know, it's always a treat to kind of see the other side, and to look out toward the audience. And so it's a really kind of a special place for a party.
And with Bruce here, what will he be doing during, or I guess after dinner, on the stage?
Well, this is our vision, and we hope it's going to work. You know, Bruce is famous as the piano puzzler, where he does these, well, you can explain the puzzlers in just a minute, but we're hoping to have our Steinway grand piano in the center of the stage, have the dinner table sort of arranged around this piano, and Bruce will do some of his puzzlers that he's designed just for us, and just for this select audience for the event. We're doing one other thing, though, that guests will, I hope, enjoy, and that is that some of our music faculty will be playing a portion of a piece of music that Bruce Adolph wrote for us, that UCA commissioned, that's inspired by paintings at Crystal Bridges Museum of Art, paintings by Mary Cassatt. So I think it's going to be just kind of an amazing evening, really, a once-in-a-lifetime kind of event, for sure.
And limited seating.
That's right.
So talk about the tickets and how many there are and how much they are.
We've got about 100 tickets.
Okay.
And the tickets are $100 each, and again, that gets you into both events. And the main thing is that all of that money is going to go for students and really help our students in the college.
That's great. That's great. Now, how did we settle on Bruce Adolph this time?
I guess I'll step in here.
Okay.
This Bruce and this commission that Bruce did for us is sort of a new dimension that we brought to the residencies, and actually where we took two residencies and combined them together. We've been fortunate enough for, I think, 5 or 6 years now to have a world-class string quartet do a residency on campus, usually in the fall. And we'd been planning in a number of respects to have the Cassatt Quartet do a residency, which they did in the fall of 2013. And we were partly inspired by the name of the Cassatt Quartet, and which was just not really a sort of a hollow choice or an unrelated choice. The Cassatt Quartet was formed by all women. They've always been all women. It's a bit of a tradition to sort of use a visual artist to name a string quartet, the members, to tie them together under that heading. But there was a unique gender-specific issue to this quartet, and it was very fitting to have the Cassatt be their name. And so there was the fact that Crystal Bridges had these Cassatt paintings. It seemed like this wonderful synergy, perhaps, to have a composer go ahead and be inspired by Mary Cassatt in some way or another, inspired by these paintings, and compose a piece for the Cassatt to play during their residency. So this was really Gail's idea to take our string quartet residency and bring this new dimension to it. And she was asking about composers that might be able to do something like this. And I mean, she and Dr. Shu and I were talking together about possibilities. I had actually thought about Bruce Adolph as a residency in the past.
Okay.
And his name really leapt to mind in relation to this this concept, this notion, sort of for about 3 different reasons. Bruce Adolph is known as the piano puzzler. He has sort of a unique presence in terms of the classical music world, which is, of course, very low under the radar in terms of popular culture. But he appears every week on a very commonly syndicated radio program called Performance Today. So it's 2 hours of live performances of ensembles from all over the world. And there's a host that sort of introduces the different works that are played. But once a week, and actually it's played on the weekends as well, Bruce's spot. Bruce Adolph appears as the piano puzzler, and he has composed a work in the style of a specific composer, only he's taken a familiar melody and recomposed it in that composer's style. So there are 2 mysteries to his puzzles. There's what the melody is that he's disguised in this costume of another composer, and who that composer is. And it's marvelously inventive and entertaining. If you know some things about classical music, it's very fun to sort of see the directions he takes things, and then to puzzle over who the composer is. And it's usually pretty easy for me to know the composer, but it is more challenging to hear the melody in the midst of that, because Bruce, being as inventive as he is, and all of the aspects of what he's brought to this piano piece of that particular composer, it ends up being that it's much more of a challenge for me to get that second side of the puzzle. But there's always a caller who is who is solving the puzzle, but the host of the radio program helps out to some extent, and Bruce can sort of help tease out one or the other of the answers if somebody is having difficulty with it. So so Bruce is known because of this presence on the Performance Today, and so that was one interesting aspect to him. I'm very good friends with a member of the Brentano String Quartet, which is actually the first quartet we had as a residency here, all the way back maybe in 2008 or something like that. But I know that long ago I was in touch with her and asked what they were up to, and she was saying how they were working on pieces by Bruce, you know, and doing a recording of his works, and how much they were really enjoying that. And so I knew that I had played a piece in an orchestra like another 10, well, it's more like almost 20 years ago. I was in an orchestra and played a piece of Bruce's, and I really enjoyed that piece. I really appreciated its craftsmanship. So I knew him as a composer. I knew him as a composer for strings. I knew him as somebody who might have a wider recognition and also have a musical language that I thought our students, our public, would really be able to appreciate.
So we have him coming in for the residency, and then last semester we had him in for the well, he actually came in sort of extra for the Cassatt String Quartet here. Talk about that.
It was the world premiere.
Yes, and he, you know, as we were in touch about working out the details of this, you know, we'll be sending emails back and forth, and he'll say, "I'm going to Switzerland tomorrow for a premiere, so I'm going to be on the plane, so I'm not going to be able to respond." But he really does make an effort to hear his works, and there's that sort of connection to what he's writing for, and it's very important to him, the works that he's doing and their performance. So he got a chance to hear the Cassatt before the premiere, work with them a tiny bit, and then and was there and introduced the work here in Reynolds.
And then he and the Cassatt, soon after our premiere, played the piece somewhere else. Do you remember?
Right, we went up really with Bruce. We all climbed into my van, and not the Cassatt, they drove themselves, but we drove up to Bentonville, and it was great. Gail took us through the Crystal Bridges Museum for as much time as we had, so we got an art historian's perspective on those works. But then the Cassatt played a concert, including that work again. They played a slightly different program than they played here at UCA, but they played Bruce's piece as well, and he was there for that premiere.
And that was the first time you had really spent a lot of time with him physically, but you loved him. I mean, we loved him, right?
We loved him.
Yeah.
He was really, really fun, and really smart, and just really a great guy.
And so we think he's going to be a real hit for Bravo.
Yeah, without question. I mean, you can tell this this level of engagement and the wit and the intellect. You can always hear that in his interplay and in his music in these piano puzzler spots. But it really is a genuine extension of his personality, his way of interacting with people. There's a quickness as well as enthusiasm and spontaneity, creativity. And really it's brought us just that on that drive itself, it has spawned yet another project here at UCA.
Well, you want to talk about that?
Well, I was asking Bruce, I thought, what am I going to talk to this composer about for 3 hours in a car? And
I kept telling her, he's really a good guy, you're going to enjoy it.
I somehow got on the subject of this opera that we're commissioning about the Little Rock Nine, and he said, well, you know, I'm very interested in human rights. And I just sort of said, well, would you be interested in working on a project about Japanese internment? And he said, yes.
Oh, wow.
And I said, okay. And so the very next morning when he got home to New York at 9 a.m., he emailed me and said, I'm very interested in this project.
Great.
So he and I and others have written a $500,000 grant to see if we can pull this project off.
Wonderful.
So you just never know.
And I think you said something, Gail, before we came on about something like, you know, not just confining yourself to what a typical residency might be. Look at what's come of all this.
It's true. I mean, you know, it would be easier just to do the standard residency
Sure.
where they come and they perform and you hand them a check and they go home. But, you know, sometimes it's just really pays off when you sort of allow the residency to overflow its boundaries and see what other kinds of projects might develop.
I think especially due to Bruce's creativity as an individual, this has had really wonderful overlaps and synergies that we hadn't envisioned, but we're really enjoying already. he's done this whole series of works on human rights, and then to have this work that is really very uniquely Arkansan, looking at the internment camps during World War II of Japanese Americans. You know, it's really, people are, I think, beginning to start to hear this story, but it is something that is only really sinking into our consciousness in a fresh way, that we're really able to get a perspective on what happened. And so it's very much tied with something he's been committed to in the past. There's a very artistic and creative element to the people as they lived here. There was an effort, a very conscious effort of the people that were interred to remain creative, to remain very much tied to their lives, tied to the moment, even though they were imprisoned. So it wasn't most positive was made out of the experience by very many of the people. But then just to sort of see another side of that, where I mentioned Bruce in relation to this Cassatt residency and the Cassatt artwork. I didn't know his more extensive work, but as it turns out, we're going to play on Thursday night as part of his residency. The music faculty will do a concert of his works, and two of those are sort of large-scale chamber music pieces that were directly tied to visual arts and inspired by visual arts. We'll first play a piece that's entitled The Tiger's Ear, which is connected with abstract expressionist painters.
Okay.
And each movement is entitled after a particular artist, and there's a particular painting that he used as the inspiration of the pieces that he wrote. So he's sort of trying to evoke the experience of these paintings. And then we'll conclude the evening with a piece entitled Red Dogs and Pink Skies, which is a musical portrait of Paul Gauguin and his artwork.
Oh,
so
good.
So really, as I say, large-scale works. The first piece is 3 strings, violin, cello, and bass, as well as percussion, flute, and clarinet. So we'll have all faculty members involved with that, and they've been very generous about committing to learn these challenging pieces. I'm sorry, this was the Gauguin piece. That's the instrumentation for the Gauguin, and then for the Tiger's Ear, it's going to be again flute, but oboe, violin, viola, and cello, and piano. So we'll have very colorful works, nicely varied, and again coinciding with the work we'll hear Friday night, also inspired by the paintings of Mary Cassatt.
So let's back up for just a minute, and then we'll go into more of the residency. But there is a very committed volunteer committee.
That's right.
For Bravo. Talk
That's right.
about that, the work they've done, who's involved. And
We've got people from the community, on campus, students, staff, faculty, you name it, they're on this committee. And so we've been working really hard to find additional sponsors, to get the word out, and selling tickets is always a bit of a challenge. So again, let me stress that we're happy to sell anyone a ticket if they will just call the College of Fine Arts and Communication. And so, we've been working on all these details, the cocktail party, the dinner party, working with Reynolds Performance Hall. And one other thing that we're excited about, our cocktail party is going to be catered by Table Mesa, who is a new restaurant in Conway. Maybe some people haven't even been there yet. And they've been very generous and very excited to work with us on this project. So we're really excited about that.
Good. Okay, back to the residency. So he's coming in what date?
He's coming in on the 19th of March, so the Wednesday before the end of before spring break week comes in. Wednesday before spring break. So that afternoon and evening, he'll work with the groups that are performing his pieces on Thursday night. So we'll play those pieces for him. There is a third work on the program, which I'll just mention. Is a piece that he wrote for Yo-Yo Ma just 5 years ago. So it's a big challenge for me. As it's cello and then 2 percussionists a piece. So it's entitled Self Comes to Mind. And there's a sort of layers in terms of that title and the work as well. But so those 3 pieces we'll work with him on. And then Thursday during the morning and afternoon, he'll be working with students being in some classes, working with some composing students, and he'll do a presentation to the students that will tie into his book, which is entitled The Mind's Ear, which are sort of creativity exercises for composers and performers and listeners of classical music. We'll have that concert Thursday night.
And it's a faculty chamber concert.
Right,
so
right.
Who are some of the faculty involved?
Sure. Linda Hsu, Dr. Hsu, and I will be playing in two of the pieces, and then Baron Weir, our bass professor, Tatiana Kochurgina, one of our violin professors, will be in the string component of it. Carolyn Brown will play flute in two of the pieces. Kelly Johnson and Lorraine Dussault will play clarinet and oboe. Blake Tyson will play percussion. Carl Anthony will play piano.
It's an all-star
so
cast.
It really, and that did really appeal to me as well. This dimension of really bringing the faculty together in a larger scale work. And Bruce's 20th century music, 21st century music, modern compositions. There's been a separation in many composers from sort of a mainstream audience. And Bruce's music is very thoughtful, wonderfully crafted, but it is also, its forms, its colors, its musical components are very immediately understood and sort of processed. So there, the challenge of really trying to discover what is the heart of the piece, that has not been the challenge of the event. There are technical challenges of it, but there's an immediacy of the work that we're really very much enjoying.
Good, good.
And I think audiences will too.
Now the residency will end Thursday night.
That's right.
And so he's essentially staying an extra day for Bravo.
That's right.
Okay. And how hard a sell was it when you just told him what,
You negotiated that.
And he as we were talking about him doing a residency, he actually offered to begin with that if we cared to, he would be willing to do some piano puzzlers as part of a fundraising event. And I think really Dean Potter, I'm not sure that he'd even heard that. He was the one that was seeing it as the possibility of making it our second Bravo event.
Okay. Okay.
You know, when Bruce was here in October, he also did a couple of promo spots for us for Bravo. So, you know, I think it was really a luxury to have him here for those few days, just to get to know him a little bit better, for him to sort of see what we're up to. So that was really a great thing.
And sort of a little bit of a strange way, I think it illustrates the way that Bruce did that promo.
Yeah.
Where he just sat at the piano, and we told him what the keywords were to the event, and he
just did it.
Tied into his intro that he does on the radio show, but then he was able to put together all of these points, and then wrote a little composition, a little bit of a play on music as well as his exit music.
In a single take.
Yes.
Wow.
And in a way, for students, there's a unique aspect to seeing him, getting to know him. I mean, there's sometimes the composers that we would bring, there's an element of reverence, but there's also a separation from the modern day, and partly it's a generational thing, but partly it's just sometimes composers are very much enclosed in their world, and the act of creativity is an isolating thing. And for Bruce, he's very much tied into the media of today, and music as a form of communication.
He's very much an educator.
Right, and also, yes, as an educator, he wears many hats, but one of his hats is doing evenings of educational programs about concerts of the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center. So he's very much New York City based, but he very much is about helping people to understand more the music of the past, and in this case, the music of today as well.
Now, when Rick Steves was here, the writing department students, majors, were the ones who benefited, and
Right.
obviously this time it's going to be music students. What will they need money for, Stephen?
Well, it's there are so many things us musicians need money for, but I think the biggest thing, classical music, and in Arkansas, is a challenged opportunity. Few of the schools have that as
Public
a central
schools.
part. Right, certainly string programs, and sort of that's a necessary ingredient of the sort of the classical tradition. And so opportunities to travel and do summer music with people that are really excited about classical music from all over the country, or visiting conferences about string playing, and they're not just string playing. I'm
Right.
sorry, but all of the music people. There are many conferences of student groups or of specific instruments that will have a national gathering.
Okay.
And I'm sure the students will have ample opportunities to broaden their perspective, make sort of very valuable connections beyond the state, and sort of further their futures.
And Gail, it was quite a significant amount of money that we raised the last time. Do you remember?
It's about $10,000.
About 10,000. So if we could clear 10,000 now, that would be
be
amazing. So so again, ticket sales are limited. So get on it.
That's right.
Now. And
Call us. We'll get you hooked up with some
Okay.
tickets.
Go ahead and give the telephone number.
501. What is it?
450.
You know better than I do.
3293.
That's right.
3293. And then we'll aim for another one in 2016.
That's right.
When this one's over with.
So it'll either have to be film or art or something like that.
Okay.
So it'll be exciting to see what
right.
we come up with.
But we got to represent. We got to support our music people.
That's right.
And go and support Bruce.
Music in 2014. So very good.
That's right.
Okay, so thank you both for coming on Spotlight, and it looks like it'll be a great night.
I think so.
So be sure and get out there and get your tickets, because they will be going fast. And we will be back in a moment, and we will see the promo
That's right.
for Bruce Adolph.
Great.
We'll be back in a minute.
Hi, I'm Bruce Adolph. You probably know me as the piano puzzler on public radio, but I'll be here in Conway for a big fundraiser on March 21st. Bravo, it's called. Fundraiser for the students of the College of Fine Arts and Communications. There'll be cocktail party, dinner right here on the stage of Reynolds, live piano puzzlers, and much more. I hope to see you there.
For more information about the programs and people featured on the show, call the College of Fine Arts and Communication at 501-450-3293, or check out our website, www.uca.edu/CFAC. And we're also on Facebook. So join us again next week on Spotlight.